was on school safety. My research was solely based on the dangers of gun violence and the trauma left behind, as well as the impact it has on students' safety and mental health. This research was done in hopes that it would be a step in finding a potential solution.
My topic was the education and issues evolved around immigrants and undocumented citizens in the U.S. When we started our research, we found that most of the disparities occurred between the races and breakdowns of native-born Americans versus immigrants and the minorities in this, mainly the South, but it is in some of the North as well. Most of it caused due to what I found would be a lack of funding, which goes back to our segregated schools, as well as the way the Texas taxes were distributed at that time until the early 90s. There was a law passed that made them distribute the tax dollars a little bit more fairly and equally, but for a long time they weren't. And it's led to many issues with the educational system. Another big issue that I found were groups that want to eliminate the funding for undocumented kids to attend public schools, one being our Governor Greg Abbott. He campaigned on the issue of not allowing these children to go to school based off the fact that their parents were undocumented and came into the country illegally. In the end, all we found was that led to another generation of poverty and people more likely to need help and assistance from the government, which in the end costs you more tax dollars.
My subtopic that I did was mental health, and I tried to find a lot of articles and research on it, and a lot of them only surrounded shootings or COVID. There wasn't really many on immigration that I could find, or poverty, that were under 10 to 15 years old. Many of the ones that I did find were articles that I had to find in magazines from the teaching associations that have their own parts in magazines, or teaching magazines. The first one that I found would be prioritizing mental health in students and teachers. The next one is the adaptations to challenges now surrounding us post-COVID. This article was about remembering the importance of mental health in everyone by saying this logo over and over again. It's their saying that they think everybody should say, which is, it's okay to not be okay. A lot of the sources I found did focus around gun violence, which is somebody else's subtopic, so it was kind of hard to figure out, okay, is this more about mental health or is this more about gun violence? Can I use this in my part? And so a lot of the time I stayed away from the gun violence sources. I did find a few that were okay, but I found more focusing around COVID and teacher-student communication, underdevelopment of social skills. It's a major gap in the research. None of them look at anything before COVID. Articles are surrounded by, because it was a recent tragedy, surrounded by COVID, gun violence. Those were the two main ones. It was really hard to find articles that weren't around that, and that looked at what was happening before that made our education so bad that whenever the issues with COVID and gun violence hit, that nobody knew what to do.
My subject was poverty You might want to say, what does poverty have to do with education? But actually, there's been studies that show that socioeconomic status actually affects the education of children, not only because they will be put in different type of schools, but also it affects their behavior, because in some schools, kids get bullied and it affects their behavior academically, and they have to learn how to adapt with getting those issues. Poverty is growing, it's a growing problem, and even statistics from 2018 through 2020 of the school year, there's been a bunch of low-income students compromised, with mostly the majority of public school students being represented in the poverty of the behavioral issues, around 52%. The suspension of students has increased effectively, especially on kids who have low income status. Their health and academic performances have been a great concern to the education in the United States.